Hello my friends, welcome back to another video. Today we are back again in GDR. I know it has been a little bit. I have been working on some stuff. Most of it has been stuff I can't quite show you yet, stuff to do with the Britain situation, Free Britain, and occupied Britain as well. I'm very excited to show you guys that, but I can't quite yet, unfortunately. But I am going to show you some other miscellaneous things that I've been doing, and they happen to involve the eastern part of the war, the Great Patriotic War, whatever you want to call it, tidying that up, adding some features that have been asked for a long time, and I've also done some things with Britain that I am willing to show you. It also involve Ireland, interestingly enough. But yeah, let's get right into it. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you is actually a new decision for people in debug mode. I've added a situation test. Basically what this does is it spawns in, rough version of what stuff would look like in July 7th, 1942. This is mostly just for me to show borders in my videos when I start talking, but I guess you guys can use it as well if you want to take pictures or something or easily edit stuff. I'm not sure, but you just click this and boom, there you go. It's exactly what you'd expect. Germany owns everything that it should, French state is here, blah blah blah. Oh, and while I'm here, I also changed this border a little bit to have a second kind of bump in it right here in the south towards Nice and Monaco. So that is a new thing as well. Also, I want to say quickly, although this might be something I've already repeated before, so I'm sorry if that's the case. But I have changed Switzerland up a little bit. I've changed Operation Tannenbaum. Now, when you do it, you get an event, and it says, "We shall invade them at once," or you can threaten them or try to collaborate with them, and it kind of gives you your war goal instead of just you declaring war right away. I've given this to that focus, but I made it for also the Liechtenstein issue. So if you go into your focus tree and you do the alt history thing, which is to support a coup in Liechtenstein, if you do that, you have a border war with Switzerland that I made to show Switzerland protecting the small country, just like a limited war. And once you win that, you will also get that event. So once you win that, you can see, like, we fought with the Swiss already. Should we just nip them in the bud now? But you can just not do that, But yeah, very cool. I wanted to mention that too. I might have mentioned that in a post or the previous video, kind of as a miscellaneous thing, but that's another miscellaneous thing with this update. Also, very, very quickly, while we were talking about miscellaneous things, not related to everything else, I've also made a change to Ethiopia, and that is I've given this province here, and this province right here to Italy at the start to kind of represent the situation a little bit better after the Ethiopian Christmas offensive in 1935. This was mentioned to me by someone on the Discord, which again is the best place for suggestions and stuff like that. If you want to join, of course, there'll be a link. But yeah, so now I've given these to Italy, so now Ethiopia doesn't start off with, their borders not even penetrated at all, which, doesn't make much sense for a war that's been fighting for a little bit. So yeah, that is a really cool kind of miscellaneous thing. But let me click on this again. Alright, so here we are again in quote-unquote 1942. Don't look at that. And I want to show you guys something that I have added. Now, if you have played Hoi 4 before, after the recent DLC that added content to Germany, you might have seen this event before. The opportunity for collaboration in Lokot. Now, if you don't know, the Lokot Autonomy, or however you actually pronounce it, I'm not sure. I'm sure someone will correct me. Typical American, right? Was a small region that was kind of a testing ground for Russian collaboration with the Germans, with the Nazis, to see kind of how it would all go, maybe after the war, and it was kind of a test also for Reichskommissariat Moscow, that one. So it was a very small state, and as you can see, following the occupation of the Bryansk, Kursk, and Oryol Oblast, our army has hatched a plan to utilize local collaborators based in Lokot to more easily govern the region, while simultaneously being able to have them muster more units to fight the anti-Soviet cause. This would, however, deny our army group their spoils of war in the region should we authorize the establishment of the Lokot Autonomy. And if you say yes to this in Vanilla Hoi 4, these states, these three big states, all get a state modifier, which, let's be honest, no one will ever notice that as a state modifier. It's probably the worst way to show that, because no one's ever going to look at that. Even if you're reading the event, you probably won't click on it. You'll just probably think it's a national spirit or something. But it gives a small state modifier for those states, which kind of is supposed to represent it. Now, there are a couple things with this. First of all, of course, the borders did not look like that. Second of all, state modifier, not the best idea. And a lot of people have been begging me to actually add it as a country. So now, if you click that, you get this little small country here, this small puppet state, called the Lokot Republic, the Lokot Autonomy. And you can see it has its own flag. It has its own country tag that's brand new, LKT, in case you're wondering. Bronislaw Kaminsky is already in the game. He's actually given to Germany in the original event, but now he, of course, gets to be leader. You still get his Waffensturm Brigade. That is still a thing. And you can see it has the accurate borders. It has semi-accurate population. And the state modifier does survive, and it does survive in the surrounding regions. I could have gotten rid of these really easily, but I actually decided to keep them because I feel like it kind of shows the effects of Lokot even in surrounding regions. So yeah, that's that. Of course, it takes chunks out of mostly Bryansk, but then also Kursk, it loses some of its territory. And this is what you get here. So yeah, it's very nice to actually see that on the map finally. Of course, it is Puppet for you. There you go, Reichskommissariat. And maybe in the future there will be ways to expand this, maybe ways to integrate it, or just different decisions. Because you can see it looks quite odd just there by itself, but of course if you give those oblasts straight up to it, and you would have a small Reichskommissariat right there, that could also be an option. But yeah, a lot of things that could happen there, so let me know what you think about that. But we have the actual state that exists in real life here right now, so that's very cool in my opinion. And while we're talking about kind of the southern part of the Soviet Union, we'll also talk about Crimea. Now obviously the Germans had designs on Crimea. Most people know that they wanted to integrate it directly into the Reich. They also wanted to integrate some of the lands to the north of it. And I have changed the states around to kind of make that look a little bit better. I took away a lot of territory from Zaporizhia and have given it to the southern state to kind of show the borders of this now. Of course, they never really drew up actual borders for what this would look like. You have the actual administrative divisions of Reichskommissariat Ukraine, but those probably change. But I can just give these to Germany real quick. You kind of see how that looks. Of course, imagine this looking a lot cleaner because these borders will obviously be different. But yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. Obviously, I will soon make it so you can actually change the names on this and maybe make a way to actually integrate this land, although that would obviously probably happen post-war. So that is why that is not in the game yet. Of course, I'm not really focusing on post-war stuff right now. So yeah, that is still a pretty cool change. Now, speaking of states like Lokot, there was another kind of puppet state actually in this area in the east, and it was in Reichskommissariat Ostland. It was like an internal puppet state, a very odd thing, kind of an administrative puppet state, so to say. Now, in Reichskommissariat Ostland, there was 4 areas. There was Lithuania, there was Latvia, there was Estonia, and then there was White Russia as its own area. It was basically the territory of Poland before it got invaded, and then also parts of Belarus. That is now part of Belarus today, after the Soviets took it. That was kind of the 4th area here. And as you can see, I'll make it, or I'll spawn it in. There's now an event for it. And it is based off with the actual story. It's Reinhard Getlin suggests a Belarusian puppet state. One of our intelligence officers is suggesting that to drum up fresh troops and to stimulate support from the Belarusian population, we should form a semi-autonomous state for them. This may have implications for our future territories. And what I mean by that last sentence is I'm thinking if you go the historical route and do give them this kind of limited autonomy, that could lead potentially to Ostland being split into 2 smaller areas. Of course, you'd have normal Ostland, and then you'd have a Belarusian area here. That might have been something that happened in real life if they won the war, of course, which unfortunately for them, they did not. Fortunately for everyone else, they did not. So that's very good. But yeah, so I've made 2 options here, and they actually both have downsides and they both have bonuses. You might probably just assume straight up, like, no, why would we do that? But it does hurt our stability a little bit because, things are going to be a little bit more hectic over there. And we do lose a lot of compliance in Minsk itself, in the kind of surrounding area, which is one of the biggest states here. But what you do get is you get extra rifles because you're taking more direct control there. That is my way of making that make sense. But it's a bonus for you. There you go. Now, if you do it, you gain compliance. You lose that territory. Obviously, it becomes a separate puppet. So Ostland is of course, weaker because of that. They lose a lot of their population, factories, and all that crap. But you do gain compliance, and you do actually gain the manpower, which is what this is all about. It's to drum up fresh troops from Ostland to fight. And how you do that? Well, one way to do that is to give them some sort of concession, which is kind of what the Germans did in real life. So if you click the option that happened in real life, you'll see Ostland gets split right up there into a state with the same color, and there you go. Is the Belarusian Central Council. The name is in German, as are most of the areas here. And you can see you guys on portrait, there's a guy in charge. They're fascist, of course, a puppet. There's their flag. It's the same as Belarus flag, although I did add the seal of the Central Council, just because that way it was, you know, different from the actual Belarus flag slightly. I know that makes it a little bit inaccurate, but I think that's fair. I did the same thing actually with Carpatho-Ukraine. You know, they have their kind of seal or coat of arms or whatever you want to call it there, just to differentiate between the two. Otherwise, they'd have the exact same flag. So there you go. There's that. And then also, when you do that, you gain a new option in the Puppet Master section. Which, by the way, I should probably change that name. This is no longer RWS. So, but you gain an extra option here to grant Belarus its lands back. So just like any other Reichskommissariat, it now gets its option to fix the borders if they get messed up mid-war. So that is very cool. This usually happens once Ostland exists, once Ukraine exists, and once they've, you know, taken some territory here. So usually it happens pretty late. A lot of people, when they're making historical mod, will try to make it happen on the exact same date. They'll say this cannot happen until 1943, December 5th or whatever. The problem with that is, of course, this is a sandbox game. It's not a historical game. If you want dates to be exact, you should probably watch a video on it, a time lapse or something like that, because you never know what the player's going to do. You never know the situation. So if the date comes and goes and the prerequisites are not met, weird things can happen. So instead, it's just Ostland being formed, all of Ukraine being formed, which, you know, is actually quite difficult to do, and also taking some territory here. In my test so far, it makes it so that the option for this to come up will come up in late 1942 or early 1943, although I will test it more and see if I need to adjust that. But yeah, that is pretty cool, and that is all of the content for the East. But there is one small nugget of content for Britain that I will actually show you, and that is actually with Ireland. I've added a new state here, the second state in this video. I've added 2 states and 2 countries, very cool. And I guess adjusted a 3rd state, but I'd rather just say 2-2 because that is cooler. I've added a new state here, and it includes all of the 3 treaty ports that Britain actually held until 1938. A lot of people don't know that, but they held the port of Spike Island, the port of whatever that is, and then the port of, oh my god, whatever that is. You know, they have very small naval bases I've added on them, but, you know, still significant, still maybe strategic in a way. And in 1938, you will get this event that I have added right here. It is the Anglo... Oops, I should actually probably switch to Britain. Haha. You get this Anglo-Irish trade agreement. Now, of course, you have to have certain prerequisites to get this. You can't be at war with Ireland. It has to be 1938. They have to exist. Once you get this event, you have 2 options, of course, just like before. Also it says this. Us and the government of that have agreed on a number of things, including now the treaty ports we have in Ireland. They shall be given back to Ireland unless we change our minds now. This is a part of the Anglo-Irish trade agreement, which is kind of a culmination of their kind of trade war that they had in the 30s. And we can do 2 things. We can you know, give it to them, or we can not give it to them. We can kind of go back on our word. Of course, there's the things that you'd expect. If we give it to them, they obviously get to keep it. They also get a core on it. It doesn't have much population, obviously, but, you know, you get your core anyway. And Ireland thinks very well of you. Maybe in the future this will have more impact. Maybe it'll be something like they'll be more likely to join the Allies if they have that. I don't know. But if you go if you go alt history and say no, obviously they do not like that. But you do actually gain some stability from that because, you know, you have a more secure spot in the British Isles. Famously, Winston Churchill was very against this. He said, it seems we give everything and we get nothing in return. So he was against it. So maybe this is an option that makes sense, to not give it up, and you will get some stability from that, but you will lose some political power from making that move. But if we do give it to them, they take it, and now they have it. Also, this means that now Ireland has 4 states, plus 5, Northern Ireland, if you want to count that as Ireland. I think so. It is in a way, anyway. So yeah, that is very cool. Of course, mostly focusing on Eastern Europe, but I actually have done some content for Ireland, and I've also done some content for Britain, but a lot of it I cannot quite show you yet. But I am very excited to show you. It will happen soon. Expect that video within the next couple of days. And then again, added a little bump to this demilitarized zone, and I also changed the borders of Ethiopia, although now they're gone because we skipped to 1942. Oh well, what are you gonna do? So I hope you guys like this video. Let me know what you think about kind of the future peace deal situation. Should this affect it if you give Belarus autonomy, or a semi-autonomous state in Ostland? Let me know. Should that affect the eventual peace deal? Should Belarus become separate from Ostland, or should it all be one thing anyway, despite whatever choice you make? Same with Lokot Autonomy. Do you think it should just be dissolved after the war, or should it be an option to expand it? If there is an option to expand it, where should it go? Because this territory, a lot of it could be Ukraine, a lot of it could be Lokot, a lot of it could be Don Wolga, that potential puppet state as well. That's a whole nother thing. So yeah, let me know what you think of all that, but I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. That is about it. Thank you so much for my members. I appreciate you guys so much, and thank you so much for you, even if you're a normal viewer, for making it all the way to the end of a video. I talk a lot, so that is very impressive. But I hope you guys have a good day or night. That is about it. See ya.